Here we are on a Saturday morning doing a preview bit of business. Tonight is the Young Frankenstein premiere on the Svengoolie show on MeTV. So we're going to go through the Frankenstein inventory around this place over here, around the Mr. C Dives In studio station. But it is a double feature after Frankenstein. I'm trying to say, after Young Frankenstein finishes up on Svengoolie, then the House of Svengoolie will show the original Frankenstein. So let's come in and hit the. I'm not going to do watch the preview, but continue reading. So if you check out the MeTV blog right there, then Sven himself gives you the whole breakdown. Probably a lot of people have seen the movie already, but for those who haven't, uh, there's the scoop on the actual film. Definitely something to look forward to. And now let's move on to the collectibles. Let's see, without the camera stand, can I get going here? Okay, so let's open big. Home Depot or the website itself, we got these giant size decals, stickers, room decorations. So I thought I'd go with the biggest of the pieces first. So let's get in on the detail there. Man, that is some good art. That is some well-rendered Frankenstein. Let's get right up in there in the bolts. Let's get right up in there in the bolts. The jacket, the shirt, all of it together. So this is physically the largest piece of 2D Frankenstein memorabilia collectible that I have. So let's go ahead and move him out of the way so we can get on to the rest of the stuff. Scraping against the ceiling just a little bit, and as long as we're staying up here, slightly out of position from its usual spot, but I wanted to consolidate everything over here. We have, as is titled, Rhythms of Monster Island from Doug Horn. Doug put this together back in 2017. And again, talk about details, talk about art worthy of getting you excited. Like the mind of Doug Horn to come up with Frankenstein playing bongos, wearing a Hawaiian shirt, wearing an Aloha shirt. You have the lightning bolts in the backdrop. Everything about it. He's what would you say are the emotions of a Frankenstein in this moment? Is he a little bit sedate? Is he a little bit chill? Is he a little bit suspicious? Is he, being sure that the lightning is striking? Is he taking pause as the lightning strikes him in his bolt on his neck? Anyway, I super appreciate this Doug Horn piece also. As long as we're up here, a little bit different than the Mummy collection. We also had the Frankenstein from 19 Crimes. You can find this at Target. You can find this at other places. But the cool feature about it is with the QR code, and we won't really go into the QR code right now, it scans into some animation. I definitely have a short featuring that. It's pretty fun. It's not just visual animation, but there's a little commentary also. So the Frankenstein will do some conversating with you, some talking. That's good stuff. Let's check out Frankenstein Duck, because if you're going to go all in on a thing, you might as well go around the way of ducks, and ducks definitely hold some value around this house over here. So might as well. Now, there was a time at Wisconsin Dells on vacation, and I'm trying to decide how all in do I want to be. Is this too much? But clearly you can see the conclusion came. All right, let's go ahead and get Frankenstein socks. And these are from the Odd Socks company. So they definitely have a website for anybody trying to chase down any Frankenstein related socks that way. Let's see if I can somewhat smoothly get the duck over, get the socks out of the way. Now we're on the Geeky Tiki Frankenstein. Let's bring this guy up front and center. Let's get a good view. Definitely a classic Frankenstein face. It's been a good long minute now since we've been involved in the Geeky Tiki business, but definitely a fun piece to have. I should be using this very same vessel as I'm going to be for whatever beverage I'm going to have tonight while I'm watching Young Frankenstein and Frankenstein, the double feature. But man, this is look at that. Look at that. That's all good. Now, as long as we're on drinking containers, the Super 7 people have this very Frankenstein right here, very fun, playful way. Since this is a fun and playful Frankenstein, let me say just last night over on the Casual Crafter channel, Crafter just put out his latest release of the Groovy Ghoulies variation of Frankenstein. So that was definitely a fun video. I encourage people to head over to Casual Crafter and see. Chai Star G had dropped a let's go in the comments. Show on stage. Can I navigate comments working off of the phone? Oh, look at that. Not so bad. Chai Star, thanks for stopping by here on a Saturday morning in advance of, oh, we got another let's go under the let's go. All right. So here we'll keep going. We'll keep going. I got Frankenstein duck over there. Let's go to, while I was speaking of Crafter, let me come to the close associate of Crafter is J-Spy. So this 3D printed Frankenstein lab material is currently not available from J-Spy, but I was there at the right time in the right place. So again, J-Spy's impressive work that he has manipulable, playable, operable features here. The levers, which is more of a thing of Bride of Frankenstein about at the end. If you pull the lever, you'll blow up the whole castle. But always impressed with the J-Spy 3D printing Mego style accessories. I guess we're coming back over here. We're going to work from left to right. Monsterologist. This first discovered Monsterologist through the horror house. But as we've said about all these other things, we got a lot of excellent detail, a lot of excellent rendering here. I mean, each of these different pieces is really capturing the facial expression of your Frankenstein monster. So this guy right here is, we belong dead. This guy was not happy to be brought back to life as he appears in that moment. Let's come all the way over here. A little bit of a variant. We got Freddy Funko with his crown. I don't know if we're going to have glare. Let's try to avoid the glare. The crown is in there. The stitching is in there. There's no mouth on here, so that reduces the capacity for facial expression. But let's say just looking a little bit harumphed, if we can use some young Frankenstein and Mel Brooks terminology. All right, recently we discovered the bag clips. Dreamland Comics up out in Junkyard territory, up in northern Illinois. Dreamland Comics carries the bag clips. A lot of chain stores carry the bag clips. But again, this is the movie poster variant. Again, these are a nice quality product. If you flip them on the back, there's still a little bit of a texture to it and a little bit of imagery. So good on that. This one I think is out of the Las Vegas stamp printing people. Time after time, the Frankenstein face presents itself in so many different variations. But as we're approaching Halloween, if you need to be doing some Frankenstein stamping, here you go. Here's a Frankenstein stamp. Check it out. All right, let's come more now into here. Let's get these smaller guys. So this is, again, a Funko. We'll clear through the Funkos. We'll head over to the Migos in a minute with the arms forward as his traditional way to depict Frankenstein. Again, absolutely good colors, absolutely good stuff. This guy looks like he's ready for a nap. Let's get him over. Now, I think this is the deco style based on the colors and stuff, but Frankenstein throwing flowers into the water, found its way to throwing some other stuff into the water, or well, poor little Maria. But anyway, again, the colors on this are really great. And again, Funko, for not having mouths on their characters, still finds a good way to give them some personality. Okay, so now we're going to go from that color style. Get the guy back in his spot. Oh, he's going to take a nap. That's fine. Classic black and white rendering. There you go. Frankenstein ready to roll. So like the same design, but just in a different color. Let's see, the stitch is in the exact same spot. So this would constitute a repaint, but look at the variation they did from the one repaint to the other. I guess let me bring up. Here, let's put this guy over here. Again, the exact same figure, but just in a different presentation of colors. And each of them super, super cool. Again, we got buttons on the jacket. Against tiny, tiny details on tiny figures, keeping everything cool. And here's another Art Deco Frankenstein. Man, that's four. Now I'm doing the count bit. 4 Frankensteins, all out of Mego, all with a bit of a different style and personality to them. It's all good. Let me get those guys back over there so we can go. Let me jump back to bag clip territory. And again, this is a monogram bag clips. Everybody's getting the scar rendered in there. This guy's headed sideways. I can't remember right now who's from series 2 and who's from series 3, but that's definitely something people can check out. Again, great color, great facial expression. Okay, one more Frankenstein. Now, as we have here, the Monsters That Made Us podcast, which is an amazing, amazing podcast. Their logo includes Frankenstein facial imagery as well. So that is some good stuff right there. The Monsters That Made Us. All right, let's come into some more figures here. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Let me come up to the Mego guys. Let's go to classic Mego Frankenstein. Again, it's been a few years now since Mego started to do the releases, but I was excited then, and I'm excited now that Mego was able to put these guys together. And again, cloth goods here. Again, I get the Velcro, which we didn't have on the figures in the 70s. But let's get a look at his T-shirt a little bit in there. An awesome blending of colors, solid working boots on good old Frank there. So many variations of the character. So much good stuff. Let me get glow in the dark. We're not going to test his glow in the dark features right now, but this slightly different. The stitches paint. Let me try to get a clearer shot there. Stitches painted on a little bit differently, but all the way cool. All the way cool to have this Frankenstein. Also, and as long as we're opening up jackets to check out T-shirts, super cool to have the Mego cloth figures on board. Okay, so that's a bunch of Frankensteins. Let's come into, since it is young Frankenstein that is the first of the double features tonight, let's take a look at that wild Gene Wilder hair. Again, this is the same lab coat that they use on the Fly figure, who's not a Universal monster, but is still up there with definitely classic monster imagery altogether. Anyway, I am so looking forward to tonight because this movie is so funny. Everything about it. The comedy is strong. The historical tribute to these old school Universal Monster pictures is strong. The acting, the set design, the fact that they had the same props designed by Kenneth Strickfaden, that the stuff was sitting around his garage for 40 years, and then that's such a great story that Mel Brooks was able to find him and contact him and then be able to use the same props in the then current early 1970s movie. So there you go. And who brings the comedy in the movie? Let's let Gene Wilder take a little rest there. Marty Feldman as Igor, Frankenstein, switching the names around. Man, comedy talent, unparalleled. Marty Feldman, good stuff. All right, I mentioned J-Spy just a minute ago. Also came to me by way of J-Spy, Frankenstein Coin Bank. No coins in the bank at this time. Just give them a little rattle around. Nothing going on in there, but again, there's a little bit of a somber expression on Frankenstein this morning here on the Coin Bank. All right, we got Migos. Let's get some. Okay, let's go classic Remco next. So this guy we found up at Meepleton's in Madison, Wisconsin. One of the top vintage toy stores I've ever seen. Was real happy to find him. I had the Dracula Remco still from my youth, and this guy was a nice addition to bring in. Also, this guy not so playful looking, but a vintage a vintage guy who's still sticking around in here. Again, I'm just noticing that every single edition has the scar until we get to Imaginext. This was a very creative interpretation, I would say. Imaginext always with their gear to pop on and off. Let's get a good close up on the brain right in there. A little bit of a nice reworking of the electric bolts on some kind of helmet apparatus here. Good on Imaginext for having gone the route of including Universal Monsters and all of the stuff that they do. It brings us now to Toonie Terrors. I'm anxiously awaiting. Oh, the big guy just fell down on me, but that's okay. We'll keep going. Anxiously awaiting the new Toonie Terrors for Creature, Bride, Phantom, and Invisible Man. But in the meanwhile, here's the silver screen edition and the regular edition of the NECA Toonie Terrors Frankenstein. Again, as we've said before, these guys have some limited articulation and definitely a fun style. As I had referenced, Casual Crafter earlier, putting together a groovy Ghoulies Frankenstein. These guys definitely give, or more so the color one, they do give some groovy Ghoulies vibes. Sticking on a smaller scale, the Crocs Charms. I should have brought a water. I should have brought a water down. Okay. The Crocs Charms for Frankenstein. Again, everybody's consistent in getting the scar captured and having some kind of Franken-face going. So again, let me put this guy over the side as long as we're... Now, this is the alternate head for the Jada Frankenstein. I know some people prefer NECA over Jada, but I definitely want to I mean, come on. That's not for lack of quality depiction right there. That's a really, really great alternate head here from Jada. And now let's go to the actual Jada figure and talk about some grimacing kind of teeth. Talk about looking like he's either trying to adjust his dentures or he's in some kind of pain. Anyway, cool to see. Again, there is some play to be had here, some flexibility on the jacket, but unlike Mego, this is not cloth product. Definitely comes with the chain accessory, and then the knees are double jointed. There's articulation at the foot as well. Elbow elbow's also double jointed, and Dracula came first, but then Frankenstein definitely had a great success. So it's evident that Frankenstein's been successful. Look at all this Frankenstein gear here. Back to J-Spy. We can't get too far in this conversation without referencing J-Spy. This came to me by way of J-Spy, and this is the Sideshow collectible. I can't even call this an action figure. I just think of this as a posable statue. Really similar to the Jada here, but I mean, obviously larger, a little bit better crafted, a little bit higher end. Absolutely cool to have this. Again, somewhat articulable, somewhat able to set in motion. Look at the boots on this guy, though. I mean, let's just do that. Like the Jada boots aren't hurting for any. They're big, heavy boots. This guy, man, that's a lot of boots. Toonie Terror guy, a little lighter on the boots. Mego guys, decent standard boot, but so some of them go a more standard boot. Some of them have a heavier hitting boot. Let's see what else just arrived. Of course, we got to have a little plush pillow Frankenstein head around. Ooh, so this guy's got the stitch on the other side. I wonder, was that to avoid copyright? Maybe they didn't maybe they weren't talking to Universal before they set that up. So the same Frankenstein Mego character that is right here was as my only submission that I've sent in, and then my only submission to be featured on the Svengoolie mail segment was in copy of the Nighthawks photo, and there it is to Mr. C. Svenology. Okay, so anyway, there's the Sven figure There's the bride who will get her own featured show here some other time in the future. Anyway, cool to. I was so excited out of my mind when this guy when they put the picture into the mail segment. Okay, some other stuff here. Out of the alley in Chicago, we're fortunate to be in a good spot where there's plenty of good shops and good stuff. So branded here again, another patch. This guy, the Frankie patch, they call it. Definitely, definitely cool. Let's get into back to Funko, jumping around the book. What page is Frank going to be on? Should I put a tab in here? Absolutely, but let's just take a little minute. Here's a Dracula page. There he goes. Look at that. almost haunting, but absolutely cool. I don't think they ever released a Dr. Frankenstein, but he looks good right here again. Man, again, just a set design. Cool stuff. Look at that. J-Spy's doing a lab piece. Funko's doing a lab piece. Anyway, so there's the Funko book. Let me get a little bit more here. We got the magnet sticker that we got out of the Kane County Fairgrounds. Oh, geez. Let me get this over here too. So that comes with that giant Frankenstein wall decal. There's some smaller stickers that come into there that come on that that come in that packaging also, that come with that kit. So it's for me, that was a real good pickup. Let's put that one back over here. Let's get this guy over here. Again, the whole theme of modern Prometheus and lightning bringing life into an inanimate creature. A lot of good sticker work on here also. That's cool. Let's close out and start to wrap up with the Universal Monster calendar. Oh, and a couple of things here. And we got the Jellicoe Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein. There you go. This was the 2024 calendar, so not even fresh off the wall anymore, but relatively recently pulling down from the wall. We got the torch imagery, of course, to the villagers with the torches chasing Frankenstein. So I thought that was a really creative way to put the face of Frankenstein into the amalgam that he looks kind of like a villager's torch. There's Bride. So again, we'll get her. But I know there's another Frank in here, and it's the very similar art. There you go. There you go. Look at the lightning, the whole display right there. The lightning bolts, the use of the circular backdrop, the the burning windmill. So lightning, fire, the angry mob, all these themes being addressed and readdressed. All good stuff. All right. And to close us out, this came from Five Below, the Universal Monsters 12 posters. And who gets page one? Let me see if I can get a better lighting arrangement on here without glare. Who's on page one himself? Right there. Frankenstein. Trying to get the details visible. This guy looks a little disoriented, a little hesitant. Maybe this is fresh off the operating table there. Anyway, there's definitely another one somewhere in here. Let's do a little flipping through the book, and then we'll put a little Wolfman, little Dracula, creature, bride. Oh, this one. All right. There you go. Again, a little bit different art style, interpretation. So all good stuff. All right. Absolutely should have brought water, but a little dry in the throat, but super excited for the double feature tonight. Young Frankenstein, followed by Frankenstein itself. This has been a Mr. C dive in, little pregame for Svengoolie tonight. Little bit reviewing the different Frankenstein collectibles that are out there. I'm going to close this out. Thanks, everybody. Feel free to leave in the comments. Do you like Young Frankenstein? Is Frankenstein your jam? Do you like a different monster more so than a Frankenstein? See, I left myself notes. Also noteworthy, before we all the way close out, if you're trying to read about either movie, Frankenstein or Young Frankenstein, Chris Hamby and the Silver Screens Reflection blog. Chris is just celebrating 10 years of being a blogger on Svengoolie and horror movies. So that's absolutely a good read to go. Silver Screen Reflections by Chris Hamby, and also super noteworthy, super Sven fan, Svengoolie, aka Michaela, whose chosen alias is Svengoolie. Michaela just recently had an appearance on formerly known as Regis and Kathy Lee, Regis and Kelly, on the currently called Kelly and Mark show. Michaela Svengoolie was a phone-in guest on that show talking about Svengoolie and having a good time. So credit to Chris Hamby and credit to Michaela for continuing to build the community. All right, everybody, thanks for passing through. This has been kind of cool on my side. Looking forward to Svengoolie tonight. Thanks, and we are out.